Hello and welcome to this dialogue with me, Shifarao Lako. Today on the show, we'll be talking about the design of the African Union flag and its overall meanings and implications. In this regard, my guest today is the very young Ethiopian who came up with the design of the AU flag, Yadesa Bojia. So we're going to talk about the overall meanings of the design and the flag and also other issues along that line. I'm your host, Shifarao Lako. Do stay with us. Well, Yadesa, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
So one of the things you are famous for, apart from being an artist, is the fact that you came up with the design of the AU flag. So what inspired you to come up with such brilliant idea?
Well, at the time African Union was transferring from OAU to African Union, OAU was a great bridge that a lot of African leaders fought for out of colonization, and they building this unity in Africa. But then when they finished that and transferred into African Union, it's about the biggest vision of Africa, what Africa be. And I was thinking more about what the future was going to entail and how the young people will be inspired by seeing this flag and if countries can be actually represented by it. So from what I see so far, all these three things are actually met, and walking in the street right now and seeing the flag and the effect of the flag and meeting different African leaders and going to African places and seeing it makes me wonder that the goal is actually met and it's going to get better.
So what exactly does the design mean? Could you briefly walk me through the major meanings and interpretations of the design?
Well, the flag, as you already know, already have 3 or 4 major parts. The green symbolizes like the richness of Africa. Actually, I did not come out with the green. The green is actually one of the things head of states already talked about, because they said Africa have a breakbasket to the world and have a lot of greenery and resources. And so it symbolizes the richness of Africa historically, materially, and also through the manpower that we have. And so Africa is represented in the green, and the stars represent the countries that are part of the African Union. What I added, the ray and the new dawn Africa, the hope that I have for the starting of African Renaissance, where we think to succeed, to work hard and succeed, and Africans can make their own decision, can build their own legacy, and live their own better world. And as you already know, sadly, due to colonization and histories that before that, Africa was subjugated to something that we don't want. And we're breaking out of that chain, and now the arrows show how important it is for us to work hard and shine bright. And so that's what's included. And Africa is actually depicted the way it's supposed to be, with all its islands and with all the important parts of Africa, because every Africa matters, every country. So what makes it great for us personally is African Union is established here, Organization of African Union established here. It's a brainchild of kings like Haile Selassie, and also like African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah or Jomo Kenyatta. And so to bring that legacy of Ethiopia to the new legacy and still be a part of it is what makes it beautiful.
You came back to Ethiopia a few days ago. Could you briefly tell me the major purpose of your coming here?
Great. I came here in the invitation of Visit Oromia, and the Commissioner Lelise Duga invited me, and I came here because this is a tourism month. And as you already know, I came here to speak on issues like the importance of peace and tourism. As you already know, we have a lot of great things that's happening in this country, and how can we use that effort to, for example, what's great right now is even the leadership is ready to invest in these very important things like tourism and building relationship between people and stuff. So we're using that and trying to talk about peace, because peace is an integral part of tourism. If you really think about it, tourism have 5 major parts to it. The first one is national heritage, like the heritage we have, and we are very rich of that. We have a good cultural heritage in Ethiopia. We also need a good infrastructure built. So we are building infrastructure, and the ICE can testify for that. Everywhere we are investing, and when you see places like Halalakala or Wanchi or a place like that, it just shows you how much the administration's interest in investing in infrastructure is. And the other thing is promotion and for tourism. And promotion, as you already see, for example, Visit Ethiopia, under that umbrella, Visit Oromia, and the group that working the team are really young and brilliant and energetic, and they are working very hard and making very important change and results in a very short time. So I was very inspired by that. And the other most important part of tourism is actually historic places. So Ethiopia already have enough historic places from north to west, east to south. Everywhere you go, you have history. But the history is not explored right there in the past. We focused in some areas and we didn't focus on others. And now for our generation, it's very important that we highlight and shine light on these places. And organizations like Visit Oromia is really helpful in doing that. So the 5th part of tourism is peace. We're struggling with that now. And we have to work hard in making sure that this most important and vital part of tourism is accomplished. And peace is what makes us go out and visit places. Peace is what makes us invest in small businesses. Peace is what makes us learn about people we don't know. If you don't meet and interact with people, you are easily can be their enemy than their friend. But you cannot be an enemy of a person that you met before. So tourism, peace is very important for that tourism. So what we are talking about right now is trying to encourage, especially as an artist, how important it is, peace is important to us. And one of the one of the powerful way of showing peace is actually using art. And artists, the presence of art is the presence of peace. And the lack thereof is basically the lack of peace. So we need to encourage young people to be participating in being artistic and showing their identity and their places, so they can actually create the sense of security and peace to the visitors when they came in. So that's why I came here.
And as an artist, how are you contributing share to the peace and development of Ethiopia?
Well, I've been doing that because, you know, one of the greatest way I did it was through the flag design. But every day I represent everywhere. I speak not only for myself, for the entire African people. That's not to say that I'm representative of Africa, but every African is a representative of Africa. So the way we keep ourselves, the way we talk, the way we write, the way we paint, the way we sing, the way we cook, all of that speaks for the richness of Africa. So as an artist, every artist has a responsibility to be aware of that we are not just us. We represent a continent, we represent people. And because of that, our actions and our intentions need to be careful, especially when we live in a social media world where people can sit in their basement and interrupt the entire community just by lie or fake news, right? So for us, as a people, as an artist, we need to work hard in actually disproving some of the things that's out there that they left. For example, living in a Western country, you'll see and hear a lot of things that Africa is not really is about, right? So you'll say African countries are not, like, they don't even know, like, how fast Africa is growing. So we are responsible to show that, because art have a power of penetrating communities that are close to other people. So an artist have this integral and important responsibility to communicate that. So I do that through my art, through my painting. I do that a lot because my message is trying to fight the stereotype about Africa, at the same time trying to encourage peace and trying to encourage inclusiveness, trying to empower, and I spoke about this before too, trying to be our brothers and sisters keeper.
As you know, the continent of Africa is endowed with a large number of artists. How are they helping promote the continent in a better way in the face of many challenges?
I still think there's a lot we can do, because artists have this power, but sometimes doing the right thing seems like less beneficiary. So, for example, a person that talks about war and encourages war seems to be the favorite of the day. But in the long run, the effect is actually more destructive, and artists need to know that. So using your art for peace and for things that are right might not be very appealing, but it is actually destructive to use that as a tool to promote your music or your art or whatever it is. So it's very important to be careful that we need to know as an artist our words matter, but that's not to say artists cannot criticize, because the tool of art is to criticize power and to point out problems. We speak for the voiceless, but that doesn't mean that we incite the voiceless. So that's the difference between the two of them. So yes, we can talk about the problems, but we don't have to incite people to do bad things. But we have to hold people in power responsible so they can take care of their people and do the right thing, and at the end they will benefit from it. So that is what the artist's role needs to be. And there is a real shift from that, and I really want to refocus artists to that. We are here to point out problems, to encourage people, to make the powerful uncomfortable and the comfortable uncomfortable. That's basically what we need to do as an artist. But that doesn't mean to incite violence. We have to be careful about our words. And if we really want to live in a world that's art-friendly and that's peaceful world, because without peace, there is no art, we need to be really careful how we use that craft to promote peace.
And what's your message to fellow Africans as part of the efforts being made to come up with a robust institution consisting of artists in order to create a more prosperous and more developed continent?
There have to be a body for Africa that actually stands to speak for African art and for artists. I remember I was a part of the Agenda 2063. I was actually one of the people that helped write the artist part in that Agenda 23. The event was held in Baltimore, DC, and it was a weekday thing, and we talked about it. So one of the things that we talked about, for example, is Africans being able to control their own copyright and their own imagery, right? Yeah. So it's not just open to everyone. We need to get appropriate recognition, copyright, and payment for those things. Yes. But to do that, we need to have a body, and that's what the African Union trying to do in 2063, Agenda 2063. For example, if you are using African graphics or African singing or African culinary, yes, and African weaving or African textile, all of these things I just mentioned are great in other countries, but they're not benefiting the producers. So what we're trying to do is trying to bring that copyright back. And I remember years back when Starbucks trying to copyright Yirga Cafe and Harar Coffee, and we were active in there trying to stop them. And because of that, Starbucks did not have the copyright. Ethiopia have that copyright. That's why we save African art and African artifacts and African history not to be explored. This is not to say that we can now work with our Western brothers and sisters or other countries to tap into our knowledge, which doesn't mean that a person who's dressing African dress is disrespecting Africa. But when they sell it and when they make money out of it without benefiting the creators, that will not going to make us flourish in Africa. So we need to work on those things.
Whenever we talk about the continent of Africa, one of the issues is the efforts being driven to tarnish its image. In this regard, what are some of the great roles to be played by artists, be it here in Ethiopia or in different parts of the continent?
Well, I can give you a perfect example. Ethiopia, whenever you mention Ethiopia's name in Western countries, they always associate it with a drought, right? They have to see the new Ethiopia, right? But you can't change that if we don't show them the new world. So artists are responsible in basically disproving this mythology, like this lie that stick with us. Yes, we are in problem one time. Yes, Western countries helped us in Live Aid and people, things like that. But that's not who we are right now. We developed and moved on. There are European countries that actually starved. There is no country you find that doesn't go through problems. But it's just like we need to continuously work as an artist to show that that statement is false. So instead of saying, oh, CNN is showing all bad things, that's bad, if you show them a beautiful art and beautiful work and then encourage them to look at the greatness of things, it will dispel the bad thing by itself. So we need to continue doing that. And that's the most important part. Do not be intimidated by the bad things that they say, but disprove them by doing the right thing. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Yadesa, I really enjoyed the conversation so far. Do you have any final message that you want to convey before we wrap up our conversation?
I'm so happy that I talked to you. And I know EBC have many listeners and many viewers. I think it's very important that we celebrate people's culture and be open to it. That doesn't mean that one is better than another, but I think we benefit a lot if we celebrate each other. So what I'm saying this to say that I see great opportunity even in this country. Like we have an opportunity to celebrate different cultures, to bring light to things that have never been said before, to give recognition to people who never recognized. Ethiopia is not just this or just that. We are very big country with different ethnic groups and different languages. The tapestry of Ethiopia really makes sense if we all celebrate it. So I think it's very important to be a part of celebrations like Recha or Ashenda or Mescal or things like that, and be a part of it, and even if it's not ours, because our unity is going to make us stronger, but our lack of unity is what actually makes us weaker, and we need to choose a strength part. So if as an artist, if I speak about it, that's what I speak about it. Just be open to other people's, be open to learn from others. The more you learn from others, the more you like them, and that in the long run will give you a peace and a strong foundation.
Yadesa Bojia, thank you so much for this wonderful idea and for coming here to our studio and giving us some of your wonderful ideas. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and this is going to be the first, not the last.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Yadesa Bojia, an artist and a great lover of his continent, Africa, talking to us on this edition of Addis Dialogue. Thank you so much for having been with us so far. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's a goodbye from me, Shifara Olaka.